The champagne flutes clinked around me, but I barely heard them. My daughter-in-law Victoria's words still echoed in my ears, sharp as broken glass. Poor people only deserve cheap gifts. She'd said it with such casual cruelty, her perfectly manicured hand waving dismissively at the modest presents piled on the table. My gift, a hand-knitted blanket I'd spent 3 months making, sat among them, suddenly feeling inadequate in its simple tissue paper wrapping. I'm Margaret, 62 years old, and I've learned that wealth comes in many forms. My late husband Tom and I raised 3 boys on his postal worker salary and my job as a school librarian. We never had much, but we had enough. We had love, laughter, and a home filled with warmth. When Tom passed 5 years ago, he left me comfortable enough. The house was paid off, and between his pension and my retirement, I managed just fine. My youngest son David had married Victoria 2 years ago. She came from money, the kind of old money that whispers rather than shouts, though Victoria herself had never quite mastered that subtlety. From the beginning, she'd made little comments about our quaint neighborhood, our vintage furniture, our simple lifestyle. David, blinded by love, either didn't notice or chose not to. The family party was at their house, a sprawling modern monstrosity in the suburbs with more square footage than soul. It was Victoria's father's 65th birthday, and she'd insisted on hosting, despite knowing it would be difficult for some family members to contribute expensive gifts. I'd arrived early to help set up, carrying my carefully wrapped blanket and a homemade coffee cake. Victoria had looked at the cake with barely concealed disdain. "Oh, you baked how, homie? I've ordered catering, of course, but I suppose we can put that somewhere." The afternoon wore on with forced small talk and awkward mingling between Victoria's wealthy relatives and our more modest clan. My middle son Robert and his wife Sarah had brought a nice bottle of wine they'd saved up for. My eldest, Michael, and his husband James had pooled resources for a book set they knew Victoria's father would love. Then came the gift opening. Victoria's family went first. Designer watches, luxury cruises, golf club memberships. Each gift was presented with fanfare, price tags practically visible in the air. Then came our side of the family. Victoria's father Harold was actually a decent man. He opened Robert's wine with genuine appreciation, commenting on the vintage. He seemed moved by the books from Michael and James, flipping through them with interest. Then he reached for my gift. I watched as he carefully unwrapped the tissue paper, his weathered hands gentle with the handmade blanket inside. It was a pattern I'd designed myself, geometric shapes in blues and grays that I knew were his favorite colors. I'd used the softest merino wool I could afford, and every stitch carried my hopes that he'd feel the love woven into it. Harold's face softened. "Margaret, this is beautiful. Did you make this?" "I did. I noticed you always sit on the porch in the evenings, and I thought you might like something warm." That's when Victoria's voice cut through the room like a knife. "Oh, Dad, isn't it sweet when people make things because they can't afford to buy proper gifts?" She laughed, that tinkling, poisonous laugh. "Poor people only deserve cheap gifts anyway, so I suppose homemade is fitting." The room went silent. I felt my face flush, but it wasn't embarrassment, it was rage. Pure, crystalline rage that started in my chest and radiated outward. I looked at David, hoping he'd defend me, defend us. But my son sat frozen, conflict written all over his face. That's when something inside me shifted. I stood up slowly, every eye in the room on me. When I spoke, my voice was steady, the same voice that had quieted rowdy school libraries for 30 years. "Victoria, you're absolutely right. That blanket probably cost about $50 in materials. It's cheap compared to those." I gestured at the pile of expensive gifts. She smirked, thinking she'd won. "But let me tell you what else it cost. It cost 90 hours of my time, 3 months of evenings spent in my late husband's chair, the one that still smells faintly of his cologne. Every stitch reminded me that he's gone, but also that he taught me the value of creating something with your own hands." Victoria's smirk faltered. "That cheap gift cost me arthritic pain in my fingers that kept me up some nights. It cost me turning down dinner invitations because I wanted to finish it. It cost me pieces of my heart woven into every row because I wanted Harold to know that he matters to me." I picked up my purse, my hands surprisingly steady. "You're right that poor people deserve cheap gifts, but I'm not poor, Victoria. I'm rich in ways you'll never understand. I'm rich in children who were raised to value kindness over cost, well, most of them." I glanced at David, who finally had the grace to look ashamed. I'm rich in memories, in skills, in the ability to create something meaningful from raw materials and love. Harold stood up, the blanket clutched in his hands. Margaret, please don't leave, Victoria, apologize right now. But I was done. I turned to Harold. You're a good man, Harold. I hope you enjoy the blanket. The pattern is called Generations. I designed it myself. Each square represents a different stage of life, all connected by the threads that bind us. I thought about your family while making it, all of your family. I looked pointedly at Victoria. Even the members who need to learn what truly matters. I walked toward the door, but Robert, Sarah, Michael, and James were already on their feet, gathering their things. We're leaving too, Mom, Robert said firmly. Victoria finally found her voice. You can't all just leave the party. The party, Sarah interrupted, her usually gentle voice sharp, just ended. We walked out together, leaving behind the stunned silence and the champagne and the catering. In the driveway, my sons hugged me tight. I'm so sorry, Mom, Michael said. We should have said something sooner about how she treats you. Yeah, James added. This has been building. David needs to figure out what he values. We went to my house instead, my quaint house with its vintage furniture. I reheated my coffee cake and we sat around my kitchen table like we used to when they were boys. We talked and laughed, and the afternoon became something beautiful despite how it had started. Around 7, my doorbell rang. It was David, his eyes red-rimmed. Mom, I am so sorry, his voice broke. I should have defended you. I should have defended our family. I've been making excuses for Victoria's behavior for too long, telling myself she didn't mean it, that it was just her sense of humor. Come in, sweetheart. He sat at the table. Accepting the coffee Sarah poured for him, I told her that what she said was unacceptable. We had a huge fight. She thinks I'm overreacting, that everyone is too sensitive. He rubbed his face. She said if I couldn't take a joke, maybe we needed to reconsider some things. And what did you say? I told her that if she couldn't understand why what she said was cruel, then maybe we did need to reconsider. He looked up at me with tears streaming down his face. I love her, Mom, but I love you too, and I can't be married to someone who treats people like that, who measures worth in dollars instead of character. I reached across the table and took his hand. David, I don't want to be the reason your marriage ends. You're not. This is about who I want to be, what kind of man I want to be. Dad wouldn't have tolerated this, and I shouldn't have either. A week later, Harold called me. Margaret, I need to apologize for my daughter's behavior. I raised her better than that, or at least I tried to. I've been thinking a lot this week. He paused. That blanket is the most thoughtful gift I've received in years. I've been using it every evening, and every time I do, I think about what you said, about what really matters. Thank you, Harold, that means a lot. I also wanted you to know that I had a long talk with Victoria. I told her that if she couldn't appreciate the value of genuine thought and care, then all the money in the world would never make her rich. I don't know if it got through, but I tried. 3 months have passed now. David and Victoria are in counseling, working through deep-seated issues about values and respect. I don't know if they'll make it, and that's for them to figure out. But David comes to dinner every week now, and he started asking me to teach him to knit. I want to make something for Victoria, he said last week, his needles clumsy in his large hands. Something that shows her I understand what you were saying, that the value isn't in the price tag. My other sons have rallied around me in beautiful ways. Robert started a tradition of handmade Sundays where his family makes things together: cookies, crafts, art. Michael and James commissioned a local artist to paint a portrait of Tom from an old photograph, and it hangs above my fireplace now, a gift more precious than gold. And Victoria, she sent me a card last month. Inside was a brief note. I'm trying to understand. It's hard to unlearn a lifetime of thinking one way, but I'm trying. It's not an apology, not really, but it's a start. I'm still knitting. Currently, I'm working on a new blanket. This one is called Worth. Each square represents a different kind of wealth: love, time, skill, memory, kindness, patience, creativity. It's going to take me 6 months to finish. And every stitch reminds me that I was right. The most valuable things in life can't be bought at any price. They have to be made, grown, nurtured, and given freely. That's a lesson I learned from a lifetime of being poor in all the ways that don't matter and rich in all the ways that do. When someone shows you who they are, believe them. But also believe in the possibility that people can grow, can change, can learn to see value where they once saw none. That's the real gift, hope, woven into every strand of life, connecting us all.